It's time for bookkeeping, beer, and BS. When we were telling sales stories last week, the one that came to my mind, because I was thinking like, I told Angela this before we went live. I think it's partially like the finance nerd in me where I don't get like super jazzed about a big sale. I get super jazzed about like hiring the right person or about saving money. I'll be like, hell yeah, we like cut that, saved this $100 a month and we got this thing figured out. That stuff is memorable to me because I'm a finance nerd. The sales that are memorable to me are the ones that went wrong, where it's like, if I just would have known what I was getting myself into, I wouldn't have made that sale. There's a theme that usually happens in our admin business, which is when we make a sale to a business owner, but then the business owner isn't involved and we get their spouse or their office person, and there's like a total disconnect of communication on their end. We had one, it was a junk removal business, and we could crush it for them. Like, they're right in our wheelhouse for bookkeeping. We went over everything. The business owner and I were like, yep, we got everything sorted out. I laid it all out in an email. We signed him up. And for like the next 2 months, like, we were just pulling our hair out. I think it was his wife that like was our main point of contact, who wasn't on the demo. And no matter like what happened, it was usually a disconnect between them, but it always came back to like, you guys never said this. And I'm just like, oh man, here's the recording of the demo. Here's the email follow-up. But it's just like one of those sales that you make where you're like, if you would have told me this was how you were going to behave, this would have been so much easier because I never would have signed you guys up. Like, we're just going to drive ourselves effing miserable this whole time. And all we're going to do is just like be on the defensive the whole time, because there's just no way you can win those arguments when I'm sure, Rob, you've had it before where you like the wife signs up for a pressure wash or the husband signs up for a pressure wash, but then you end up dealing with the other one at the house. And it's like, you become a therapist because you can tell their marriage is maybe not going so well and they're not talking to each other.
So this is, here we go for story time. So guy calls, wants an estimate. No problem, sir. You don't have to be home. I go out, walk around the house. We all have that sense that you're being watched, right? So I went up to the door, I knocked, I'm in my, bright colored clean power wash or something, at least that, identified who I was and that I wasn't some creep or whatever. And I think this is before company cam. So I'm not like snapping 800 pictures. I'm just literally walking around this house, like, all right, sizing it up. What do I want to price it all? And all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like I'm being watched. Like just all of a sudden, and I'm like, feel like you're being watched, like in a bad way, like something. It's
somebody's
not
about
just
to
like
jump out. They're not.
Yeah, like I feel like and also I'm like, garage door's open. Was it? I don't remember the garage door being open. And so I take a couple more steps and I look back, and there's this lady, and she is like, "What are you doing on my property?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, whoa, man. I was like, your husband told me to come out and give you this. He's not my husband. He's my deadbeat ex, and blah. Like, she's losing it on me. I was like, all right, man, I'm sorry. I was just asked to give a price to power wash the house. You can get off my property. I call the guy. I was like, hey, man, I'm really sorry. I don't feel confident in sending anybody associated with anything to your house. Best of luck with that. And he's like, yeah, we're getting a divorce. Like, that would have been nice to know, because she clearly hates your guts. And now I'm like, this is before Karens were Karens. I guess they just didn't have a name back then, but like, it was pretty intense. Not gonna lie. I was like, this lady might like pull a shotgun on me, and it was bad.
It's good though that it happened before you guys started working, because it gets worse the farther the process goes. And when you start actually working on stuff and like what they signed up for and what they didn't sign up for and what you documented and what they said and what she said, and it's like, by the time you get to the end of it, you're just like, oh my God, you guys just need to like effing talk to each other.
Or when a GPS takes my crew to the wrong house today in a townhome community, they go up to the house, garage doors open, people are smoking weed, and the windows are open. They're like, hey, we're here to do the power wash. Blah, blah, blah. Can you close the windows and doors and stuff? And
the potheads are like, yeah, light it up.
Yeah, just
pressure wash
it, man. These
guys
are going to clean the house for free. Yeah, didn't didn't go to the correct house. So, and apparently this is some house that like owes the HOA like $8,000 and all this stuff. And they're like, you should still invoice them. But our house actually didn't get power washed today that it needed to be power washed.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Got a few of those.
It's crazy. So Dan, I had a customer that informed me prior that his wife was going to be a royal pain in the ass. and like this guy, like no joke, his house was 10 million plus, just amazing home. And he goes, my wife is the biggest pain in the ass you'll ever meet. He goes, no, I know you have pain in the asses. He goes, whatever you think gonna charge me, times it by 4, and that's what I'll pay you. And I was like, really?
Just
He's
for
like,
you to deal with her.
She's the worst. And I'm like, are you sure? He's like, oh yeah. So I'm like, all right. So they had a guest house, and he's like, we want the guest house done before like in-laws show up or something. So we just need you to do the guest house. So me and another guy, we came back the next day or whatever, and we busted out the guest house. It didn't take us long. Like literally every window, I checked everything. It looked great, looked amazing. And you know, it probably took us 30 minutes, and I was billing him like $600 or $700. And so his wife showed up, and man, I'd never heard so many curse words in my life. And she said we never were there, and we didn't do anything, and we need to redo it all, and she has to watch us. And I was like, wow, this guy was right. So we literally redid it all, and she's like, oh no, you need to do it again. And I was like, yeah, we're not working for you.
Yeah,
she's
there's
like,
no doubt. There's no
she's like, I'm gonna tell everybody on social media how bad you are, and I'm gonna bury you. I'm like, well, that's fine. Go ahead. I'm like, I'm not working for you. But like, it didn't matter what they were gonna pay. Like, I am not working for somebody like that.
That's where you like turn your phone on and you're like, oh, what was that, ma'am? Okay, everybody, like, do y'all see the windows here? Does everybody agree this is what a clean window looks like?
You know,
your money is not green enough. Thank you.
Well,
goodbye.
And it got worse than that. Like her husband emailed me and was like, dude, what happened? And I'm like, man, I'm sorry, I tried. And then so she started emailing me, and then she started lighting my company up on Facebook. And I asked her politely to remove it because we actually did the work. And she's like, oh, I'm going to bury you. And so then I pulled out the card. I'm like, I actually know how to make your husband's website disappear for his awesome business. Like, I can do that. I know how to do it. I don't want to do it, but I could do it. And so she's like, okay, I'll stop posting.
I just don't like, what's her motivation? Like, you looked at it. The windows were good. What's the motivation of that person to just be that awful? I don't like, what are they getting out of it?
Well, I mean, clearly because her husband is always telling the world how big of a pain in the ass she is.
He's just trying to live up to it.
I mean, he even warned me, and I was like, okay. And it was 10 times worse than what he said. And I was like, wow.
That's where you always have to think, like, what else is going on in that person's life that makes them that miserable that they have to rip somebody a new one for, like, literally, it's Windows.
Yeah, dude.
Maybe they've got like a YouTube channel where this is like their shtick. And so he's like, he warns you, and then she just buries you, and they're documenting the whole thing, and they're profiting off of.
Yeah, they're laughing at us.
Yeah. It's like a candid camera.
Suckercontractor.com.
Hey, what's up, business nerd? Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you learned a heck of a lot watching that episode. Do me a favor, subscribe right down here. And if you really like what you saw, you got more goods right here. Check out this one, or check out this one, and do this. Go subscribe. Appreciate you. Work smarter, work harder, go earn yourself some pride. Catch you on the next one.